in this thing long enough, the outside gonna look like what God said it is, because I'm a boss down on the inside. And so what God has to do to help us, he has to build opportunities for self-sufficiency. He has to strip us and then build us up. He has to strip us from trusting in us and give us the idea that as long as I trust in him, I'm going to be okay. And the reason why I'm taking my time is because some people can get the big head and they can get caught up in themselves and they can get the high mind and they think they're God's gift to men and women and God's gift to the church. No, you're missing the thing. The only thing you can be is in God. Amen. I mean, you can be something else, but the only thing that's going to amount to anything is what you are in God. One songwriter said, only what you do for Christ will last. But if you know that, and you've been working on yourself, and you've been trying to be the best that you can be, and yes, you're not perfect, and yes, you make mistakes, and yes, you may cuss every now and then, and yes, you may have some hang-ups and some struggles and some issues and some falls, but you keep getting up because greater is he that is in me than he that's in the world. And so if you keep going through that process, God is building something up in you. All right, now, if you understand where we're headed, let's go to Judges 6:11. Now we're going to start working through Gideon.
Now the angel of the Lord came and sat under the terebinth at Ophrah. Just say big word if you can say it. That's what I do. Gideon was beating out wheat in the winepress to hide it from the Midianites.
So the angel of the Lord came. So here's what's interesting is Gideon is a regular man, but the angel of the Lord showed up. And here's something that you have to understand. The presence of God always means something in your life. If you're somewhere and you can feel the presence of God, you're not as far off as you think you are. Some people can't feel God at all. I'm not talking about just in church. I'm talking about when you're not in church and you're not around church, but somehow you feel God. If you can still feel God, you're in a good place in your life. If you can still feel his presence, and his presence is to show you everything's going to be okay. Now, it may not look like everything's going to be okay, but his presence is a sign I have not given up on you. Let me give you an example, even in the church. If you were here and while they were singing the praises, if you just felt a little something and you was able to sing and you were able to get with them, that's the presence of the Lord. Don't ever minimize the presence of the Lord in your life. Even if he's chastising you, the fact that God is talking to you means he wants to have a relationship with you. So the angel of the Lord showed up. Let's go to verse 12.
And the angel of the Lord appeared to him and said to him, the Lord is with you, O mighty man of valor.
The angel of the Lord spoke to him and said, the Lord is with you. Here's the key to everything. Here's the key to becoming a boss. Is the Lord with you? Now, I'm not talking about how it feels, how it seems, how it looks, but is the Lord with you? I know the Lord's with you because you're still here and you still have breath in your body. And as long as you have breath in your body and blood running warm in your veins, the Lord is with you. Amen. And what the angel was saying is you are a mighty man of valor, or you are a mighty woman of valor. You are a boss. The angel was saying to him, you're a boss. Hallelujah. Verse 13.
And Gideon said to him, please, my Lord, if the Lord is with us, why then has all this happened to us?
Gideon was just like any regular human being. He was looking at the outside external sources and questioning whether God was with him based on what he saw. He said, if the Lord is with us, why is all this happening? If the Lord is with us, why am I going through what I'm going through? See, trouble is not a sign of the absence of the Lord, even though it feels like it. It's not a sign of the absence of the Lord. What it's a sign of, it's a sign that he's building opportunities for self-sufficiency. Let me give you an example that y'all just seen just quickly. My son was running the stuff, but what I did is I set him back there and I'm saying, figure it out on your own. Because if I always bail you out, you will never learn how to overcome stuff if I always rush in and fix it. Yeah, I'll give you some instructions, but go in the back and figure it out for yourself. And what God has said, I'm with you, but I'm not running in and fixing every little problem. Some of that stuff I need you to understand. I place what you need on the inside. Go inside and figure it out. God's not talking to me. I'm praying and I don't hear. And what God is saying, I've told you everything I wanted to tell you. Figure it out. Now look at your neighbor and say, figure it out.
Figure it out.
All right, pick up where you left off.
And where are all his wonderful deeds that our fathers recounted to us, saying?
Stop right there. And here's the thing. If you've been in church, you've heard people talk about miracles, and God's going to do it, and God's going to turn around. And Gideon said, where is it? And you can preach it to me, but where is it? Read some more.
Did not the Lord bring us up from Egypt? But now the Lord has forsaken us and given us into the hand of Midian. So
here's the thing. They were under pressure by the enemy called Midian. And here is Gideon looking at the trouble, and he's looking at the trouble, and he's looking at the advancement of the enemy, and he's saying, I don't know if you're with me. But what the angel is saying, you are a mighty man of valor, but what Gideon's saying, I'm in some trouble. And here's the key for you to understand in 2019, you got to stop looking at the mountain and start looking at your God. Because if you keep looking at the mountain, you'll never see your God. But if you see your God, you won't think about the mountain. Let me paint a picture where you can understand this. When I preached the revival in Colorado Springs, when we got there and we flew into Denver and we drove from Denver to Colorado Springs. And so the very first day that we were there, everybody talks about how beautiful it was. I'm like, it's not really that beautiful to me. But the clouds were hanging low. The next day, the clouds had lifted, and I seen these big, beautiful mountains. They were amazing. And I would just stand, and as far as I could lift up my neck, I could just see these mountains and see the snow-capped covers, and you see it just all over. I'm like, these are amazing. And for the rest of the trip, I would see mountains everywhere. But now here's the thing. On the way flying back home, I saw the same mountains, but I saw them from a different perspective. As long as I was on the ground, the mountain looked so big. But when I got in the plane and looked from another perspective, the same mountain that I had to break my neck to look at, it looked so small. It was the same mountain, but I had changed my perspective. I wasn't looking from the ground. I was looking from the air. And when you see things the way God sees things, the mountain that looks so big right now is not as big as it looks. You are a boss. It don't look like it on the ground, but if you can get and see with the eyes of faith and the eyes of God, you are somebody. Oh, yeah, I'm trying to take my time, but I feel like preaching. I don't know what you're facing. I don't know what you're dealing with. I don't know what you're looking at, but you might be looking from the wrong place. If you look from the ground, you will feel defeated. But if you look from the kingdom, I'm going to make it. I'm still here. I'm still finding a way to make my bills come together. I don't know how I did it in 18, but however God helped me in 18, he gonna help me in 19, he gonna help me in 20. Devil, you're not gonna make me get upset. I can do this thing. I'm like the little engine that could. I think I can. 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 But I done grown past I think I can. I know I can. I know I can. I know I can. I've grown past that. I know I will. I know I will. I know I'm a boss. All right. Let's go to verse 14.
And the Lord turned to him and said, go in this might of yours and save Israel from the hand of Midian.
Now, this is interesting. God didn't say, it says, now here's something you have to understand. It said the angel of the Lord, and then it says the Lord. Because often when God wanted to come to his people, he showed up as an angel. So it was God himself. And he said to Gideon, go in this might of yours. He didn't say, I want you to go in my power. But he basically said, I've already deposited something in you. And I want you to go with what I've already given you. Here's the thing, we don't know that he's given it to us, but we don't understand that it was the trial when he put it in us. It's when you cried yourself to sleep that he gave you the power that you didn't know you had. And what he's saying is one day you're going to wake up and realize what you got. You're going to wake up one day and realize what you have. See, oftentimes we don't really know what we have. And since we don't know what we have, we don't know when we're losing what we have. I like to give examples. Let me give another example. I remember one time going to the store, and I was going in my Jeep at the time, and I had the sunroof back. I had the windows cracked. I was digging in the scene with the gangster lean. I was doing it, man. I had my music up, bumping. I went there, and I went to inside the store, and I came out, and I started the car, and it wouldn't start. Found out later I had a dead cell in my battery. Now, all the time I was digging in the scene with the gangster lean, I was losing power the whole time, but I didn't know it. I didn't know it until it was too late. I was losing something. And here's the thing, you got to understand, you got to protect your power, because there's some people that's like a dead cell. They'll drain your power. I need you to get out of my life. I got to preserve this power, because when I need it, I want it to be there. When I turn it, I want it to crank. I got to keep this power. How did the old saints used to say it? Power. Power, wonder-working power in the blood of the Lamb. And so what God says, I put the power in you, and as long as you haven't lost the power, all you got to do is go in this might of yours. All right, let's go to verse 15.
And he said to him, please, Lord, how can I save Israel?
Now, let's go back. Gideon's looking like a regular human. He's like, wait a second, how can I do anything? And here's his reasons why that it disqualifies him from what God said. Now let me stop and say that again. Here's his reasons why it disqualifies him from what God said. This is what we do. God will say something about us, and we go with all the reasons why God can't be right, and we got to be right. Now, didn't he make you? Didn't he create you? If he said you're strong, you're strong. If he said you're rich, you're rich. If he said you're healthy, you're healthy. But I don't have no money. I got a bunion on my toe. Nobody want to hear all that. Just believe what God said. Now, as a father, sometimes I have to deal with this. My daughter is super smart, but she's one of those super smart kids that don't think she's ever wrong. And sometimes I'm telling her stuff, and she's like, Daddy, it's not like that. And I'm like, yes, it is. No, it's not. Yes, it is. I get a little upset and irritated because I'm grown, you're not grown. I know what I'm talking about. And sometimes we're like that with God. I want to use you. Well, but I want to use you, but shut up. That's your problem. Your butt is in your way. Believe what God has said. If he said it, he can do it. All right, read some more.
Behold, my clan is the weakest in Manasseh, and I am the least in my father's house.
Now, he had some good reasons. He said, my clan is the weakest, and I'm the least in my father's house. I'm the youngest, I'm the least, and I come from the weakest folk. But here's something you got to understand. God loves to pick the weakest because he knows he don't get the credit. And let me talk just for a second to us African American people who somehow showed up here on slave ships, and the system is not designed for us. But we're moving in a time that God said, I'm going to show myself strong through you, because not anybody's going to believe that you did it. They're going to know it was the hand of the Lord. That's why the Bible says, let the weak say, I'm strong. He specializes in the weak. The Bible says he doesn't call very many mighty and very many noble, very many people who caught up in themselves. He calls the weak folk. He calls the lowly folk. He calls the messed up folk, and he turns them around. They said of the disciples, they said they were confused. They said, aren't these ignorant and unlearned men? Yet they have turned the world upside down. I don't know how the little church in Deliverance Temple in the corner down across town, I don't know how they did it. It was the Lord's doing. The Lord did this thing. So if you're weak, if you're from the wrong side of the tracks, if you don't have your education and you don't have a whole bunch of money in the bank, and your health is not the best, and you come from a family that they've got all kinds of stuff in their health, you are the prime candidate for God to use you, because you'll know this couldn't be nobody but God. Nobody but God. This wasn't my education. This wasn't my money. This wasn't who I voted for. This was the Lord. Amen. Amen. I'm trying to preach this thing. Y'all helping me this morning too. First I thought y'all was going to let the winter mess y'all up, but I feel it in this place today. All right, let's go to verse 16.
And the Lord said to him, but I will be with you.
Ho. Wait a second. I gotta stop and do my grammar lesson one more time. Whenever you see the word but is a conjunctive word. It joins two phrases together. But has a way of canceling out the first phrase and only leaving you with the last phrase. So I'm going to use the example with my mother. Mother, you are so beautiful, but you get on my nerves. When I add that, but you get on my nerves, she done forgot about the beautiful part. She ready, now she's sweet, but she from Gary. She ready to hit me straight in the face if I talk to her like that. Something about the but. But the previous was, I'm the weakest, I'm the lowest, but God says, but I will be with you. That cancels out all your excuses, all your issues. I will be with you. What he said, I'm on your side. I don't care what it looks like. I don't care who walked out on you. I don't care who lied on you. I will be with you. I'm on your side. I'm in your corner. I got your back. But you don't understand how hard the divorce is, baby. And let me let you know something. The man may have left you, but God's still here. The government may be shut down, but God is still here. I'm with you. Read some more.
But I will be with you, and you shall strike all the Midianites, leaving none alive.
There won't even be a trace of the enemy after I get done using you. I'm going to be with you. Verse 17.
Gideon replied, if now I have found favor in your eyes, give me a sign that it is really you talking to me.
I like Gideon because Gideon was just a regular old fella. That sounds good, but I need a sign. Because when I leave church, after all the hallelujahs, I got to go out there and face this thing. So give me a sign. Now, from verse 17 to verse 40, that's all Gideon is doing is getting signs from God. And God gave him sign after sign. One thing, Tom, he said, I got a fleece out there. I'm going to put the fleece in the middle of the ground. And what I want you to do, I want you to make all the ground wet, and I want you to have the fleece dry. He gets up the next morning, the ground was wet, the fleece was dry. He said, but God, how about this? How about this time you make the fleece wet, make all the ground dry? God did everything he asked him to do. And the reason why I didn't get into all that, because what I'm trying to show you is all them years, 2014, 15, 16, 17, 18, he's been giving you signs. It's time for you to start believing now. Forget asking for signs. Walk in what God has called you. Because all those other years, he's built an opportunity for self-sufficiency, for you to stand up inside yourself with the help of the Lord. Hold to his hand. God's unchanging hand. Hold on to that. Stand up in yourself and become a BOSS, become a boss unapologetically. Now, just in case you didn't understand all of that, let me just give you one extra scripture that'll help you, because I know you understand this scripture. Philippians 4:13, read that.
I can do all things through Christ, which strengtheneth me.
He said, I'm going to be with you. And so as long as I got him, if I do everything through him, I can do a few things. I can do some stuff, but it ain't going to mount. No, I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me. As long as he gives me the power, I can do it. So somebody just yell out with me one more time. Yell out the title. I'm a boss. All right, so now we're going to switch. I'm going to go to another acronym and give us some more practical understanding as I get ready to move toward the end of the sermon. So let's go to Judges 7:1 and read that.
Then Jerubbaal, that is Gideon, and all the people who were with him rose early and encamped beside the spring of Harod. And the camp of Midian was north of them by the hill of Moreh in the valley. So
from verse 17 of chapter 6 all the way to 40, he's getting a bunch of signs, but by the time he comes to chapter 7, he's ready to go ahead and do what he's supposed to do. So let's go to verse 2.
The Lord said to Gideon, the people with you are too many for me to give the Midianites into their hand, lest Israel boast over me, saying, my own hand has saved me. He
lets us know what I was telling you. God says that sometimes I have to stack the deck against you for you to know it's me. And you almost have too much money to trust me. So I need to let them give you a pink slip so you can find your prayer life again. Because some of y'all don't pray as long as you got money. They get in the unemployment line. Jesus, I need you. Come by, Father. Stop by here. Sometimes he has to put you in reverse for you to get a hold. So God shows us something about himself. He said, you got too many people on your side. Now what we don't understand is that the enemy had 60,000. Gideon had 30,000. They were already outnumbered 2-1. And God says, you got too many people on your side. Now, maybe God don't understand math because he live in heaven, but it looks like I'm already at a disadvantage, God. Why would you make it worse? But he said, because I don't want you to boast. And the problem with a lot of us Christians, when he does bless us, we go from blessing to boasting. And so he said, okay, if I'm going to bless you, I'm going to bless you real good, but I'm going to reduce you first. I'm going to take you down a notch first so you know this is me. Yeah. Verse 3.
Now therefore proclaim in the ears of the people, saying, whoever is fearful and trembling,
read.
Let him return home and hurry away from Mount Gilead. Then 22,000 of the people returned, and 10,000 remained.
It went from bad to worse. I'm already outnumbered, but God said that this is what I'm going to put up to you for the first B of the second acronym is boundaries. God said, I want you to operate with some boundaries. And the first boundary I want you to put is let everybody that's scared, let them leave. Let all the fraidy cats go. Let all the scared people leave. Because in this season, you need some fearless people. You need some bold people. You need some bout it people. You need somebody that's not afraid of what it looks like. So you got to tell the folk and put some boundaries. And the main boundary you need to have is all the fearful gotta go. Now, in Gideon's time, it was people. But since I'm talking about you specifically, you have to look inside yourself and ask yourself, what am I still afraid of? Why? I know some people who are self-sabotagers. Every time stuff starts going good in their life, they find a way to mess it up. And one particular person, as we were friends, and as we began to talk, I began to think, wait a second, this is not the devil, this is you doing this to you. And so I began to ask, what are you scared of? Because once you find out what you're scared of, many times it explains to you why you're doing what you're doing. And the main boundary you got to put around yourself, it's not time to be scared no more. I'm tired of giving up over the boogeyman. I'm tired of shuddering in my corner over the shadow that I see. You remember when you were little and you just knew it was a monster in your room? And when the light came on, it was just a coat and a shadow. The devil is just a shadow. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, fear no evil. It's just a shadow. So create a boundary and say, I'm not going to be scared. Now, beyond just fear, let me say, as you move in this year, you need boundaries just in general. I put on Facebook talking about you need to find the anointing of block. It means block some people. I know you're saved, but some folk you just got to block. I ain't got time to be going back and forth with you. I feel like little Duval. I ain't going back and forth with you. I'm blocking you. I ain't got time to debate and argue. I'm blocking you. If I put on a picture and there's 100 people talking about it's cute and you talk about it's cheap, block. I don't need that kind of negativity in my life. Block, 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 block. I thought you were saved. I'm saved, but I'm creating some boundaries. Now, that's a little comical, but I want to bring it a little more serious. I did this in my own personal life. There was an individual that had befriended me, and when we first became friends, he kind of did something I thought was a little suspect. And so let me just be honest. It was a little gay to me. And I'm straight as an arrow. I'm not a preacher that dogs out people for their sexual struggles. I'm not that type of preacher. But when it comes to me, I'm straight as an arrow. And it wasn't overt, but just in case, I needed to let them know. Now, I hope you don't think I'm gay. I know you may see selfies on my Facebook, but don't get it twisted. I like women and one woman. And I went and I said it, and they was like, no, what makes you think that? It made me feel like maybe I was a little too harsh, but I was just trying to let them know just in case, ain't gonna be no funny business going on. But later on, 3 years later, the beginning of this year, they did something again. And I found myself getting ready to explain to them about, I thought I told you. Now I said, forget that, I'm not explaining nothing. Block. I already told you what I'm about, and if you don't respect that, then you better go on somewhere. You're not going to invade my boundaries. And when you come through a season where the R. Kellys are being exposed, and we see how people in power walk past other people's boundaries, you got to set up boundaries. And if there is some joker in your life that doesn't respect your boundaries, set up walls and blocks, but call the authorities if you have to. Get these people out of your life. Boundaries. Sometimes the cops don't move fast enough. You got restraining orders and cops don't move fast enough. We got deacons that have license to carry guns. Call some of the deacons. We'll stand on your porch if we have to until these jokers get out of your life. We need some boundaries. I love you, but my children are not spending the night at your house. I don't know you that well. If you want to visit my kids, you come to my house because there's some boundaries. Well, that's kind of harsh. It might be harsh, but folk are crazy, and I don't know if you crazy yet. So, boundaries. If you're going to be a boss, you need some boundaries. Now, I talked about boundaries about keeping people out, but we need some boundaries to keep us in. If you struggle with pornography, you can't follow all the strippers on Instagram. This ain't for y'all, because y'all say, I'm talking about people in the church land. You can't follow all them people if you want to live a certain way. If you don't feel like it's right for you to drink, you can't be around people always talking about, man, I got turned up, I got wasted. You don't need that in your life. You got to have some boundaries, and that's one of the reasons why we're fasting, to get our flesh under subjection, so we know we need boundaries. Yeah, you saved, but there's some places you don't need to go. Yeah, you saved, but there's some stuff you don't need to watch. Yeah, you saved, but there's some conversations and some relationship you don't need to get in. And the truth of the matter is not the folk out there. Sometimes it's us. Woo, you know what, man? I'll tell you what. All men are dogs. Wait just a second, sweetheart. When he came to the altar, you didn't even let him get saved good yet before you ran. It was all up in his face. Don't blame him. Some of that is your own inefficiencies. Create some boundaries. All right, I can get way off on that. I'm not going to go too far on that. But some of y'all who saved, single, and sexy, you need some boundaries. I didn't mean to go here, but let me add this. If you save, single, and sexy, and you are not keeping yourself, and you're struggling in that area, at least have some protection too. I didn't want to go there, but some of y'all think the oil gonna protect you from everything. You better, if you slipping and dipping and tripping, you better make some boundaries. But he said he was saved, and we were studying the Bible. You better have some boundary. Why y'all studying the Bible at 3:30 a.m. anyway? Study the Bible on another day in the broad daylight. That's how we have a whole bunch of people in the youth ministry, because people didn't have boundaries. All right, I got to get off of that. Judges 7:4.
And the Lord said to Gideon, the people are still too many. Take them down to the water, and I will test them for you there.
I'm convinced God's not good in math, because first of all, it was 62,000 to 32,000 basically, and then 22,000 left. We left them down to 10,000 and 62,000. He said, you still got too many people. Goodness, God. All right, let's go. Read that again. I want you to read it one more time.
And the Lord said to Gideon, the people are still too many. Take them down to the water, and I will test them for you there.
Now here's something you got to understand. The reason why sometimes you can't jump so quick with relationships and friendships, because he said, I will test them. God wants to test people, but sometimes you too quick and you too fast, and you want to jump in stuff too fast. This is my best friend. That person don't even like you. Wait just a second. Let God test them. Let God test them. And if God hasn't tested them, all you got to do is test them for yourself. How do I do that? The moment they ask for money, even if you got it, say no, just to see how friendly they're going to be with you. Because some people are friendly as long as you are doing for them. But if you try to do for yourself, I thought you were saved. I'm saved, and you're not really my friend, so I love you, but I'm going to love you from a distance. I'm still going to pray for you. If you die, I'm going to go to your funeral, and I'm going to cry. But we're not going to be buddy-buddy in this season until you have been tested. Because I need some loyal people. I don't need no fraidy cats. I don't need no wishy-washy people, because the attack that comes on my life, if you're going to hook up with me, you got to go through what I go through. So I need you to be tested. And in this church, because I'm your leader, some of the only reason why you've been tested is because of who you follow. If you want an easy life, you got to find another church and another pastor and another apostle. Because if you're going to be in this thing in Deliverance Temple, you're going to go through something, but I promise you, you'll come out like gold. Go to the other part of the verse.
Whom I say to you, this one shall go with you, shall go with you. And anyone of whom I say to you, this one shall not go with you, shall not go.
Now this is where we mess up. God say no, we say yes. God say this one is not for you, but I like them. Everybody you like is not for you in this season. It may not be that they're not for you, they're not for you right now. God wants to test them. So he said, what I want you to do, I want you to know who I say goes, When I say leave, leave, and you got to follow me. So this is the other O. It is order. When God begins to do something, if you want to be a boss, not only do you need boundaries, you need to have some order. And let's start practical. Let's start with 2019 and your closet. Walk in your closet and stuff you haven't worn in a decade, let it go. You got too much stuff. I had to go through, I got stuff, man, I got stuff, I keep thinking I'm going to wear that. I'm not going to wear that. But my head says I bought it, I'm going to wear it till the wheels fall off of it. But I haven't worn it in a long time. If I want to order my life and be in a boss, I got to let some stuff go. And here's the thing, what you have to understand, many times it is a mental deep issue that causes you not to be able to let stuff go. Especially if you were born and you were without when you were younger and you didn't have. When you do get, you have a tendency to hoard. But God can't bless you with new as long as you're hoarding. Sometimes you got to know, let it go. Give it away. I'm not saying you got to burn it, but give it away. Let somebody else have it. Give it to the Goodwill, because Bishop might buy that. Bishop love the Goodwill. Put it in the Goodwill. Here. He'll swoop it up. If you know his size, just give it directly to him. But let some stuff go. Order yourself. If we're going to believe God for financial breakthrough, we got to order our finances. You can't eat Chick-fil-A every day. I know it's God's sandwiches. Those sandwiches are straight from the finger of God, but you can't eat them every day. You got to put some order to your life. You have to determine this goes here and this goes there. This goes here and this goes there. And if you have kids and young kids like I do, everywhere they go is where stuff ends. I'm gonna take my clothes off, my coat off. You can always figure out what path they went, because from the time they come in the door, they leave a trail. And you got to take them back and say, pick this up and put it where it goes. There's a place for things. And you have to understand, in your life, there's a place for things and there's a place for people. Now, everybody you don't let go, but you put them in a particular place. In other words, if I've talked to you for 2 solid years and you have done nothing I told you, we can still go out to eat and be friends, but I'm not giving you any more advice. I'm taking you out of the advice place and putting you in another place, and I'm ordering you, because if I keep you in the advice place, you're going to keep wasting my time. And my time is too valuable, so I got to put you in different places and order you. I'll give you another practical example. In the church here, we're trying to structure and order things so I don't do everything. And a few people don't do everything. We still have a few people doing a lot of things, but we're going to try to order it. And every time we try to order stuff seems to get worse, but you have to order things if you're going to be a BOSS. All right, let's go to Judges 7 and 5.
So he brought the people down to the water, and the Lord said to Gideon, everyone who laps the water with his tongue, as a dog laps, you shall set by himself. Likewise, everyone who kneels down to drink. He said, I want you to separate them based on 2 major things. Bring everybody to the water, but the ones who goes to the water and they lap like a dog but look up, I want you to keep those people. I'll explain to you why, but they lapping and looking. Somebody say lapping and looking. So the other ones that kneel down, I want you to let them go, because they kneel down and just stick their whole head down in there. They drinking. They drinking, but they're not looking. I want you to find the other people who are lapping but looking. I'll explain to you why. Let's go to verse 6. And the number of those who lapped, putting their hands to their mouths, was 300 men. But all the rest of the people knelt down to drink water. They went from 10,000 down to 300. That means 9,700 of them just stuck their head in the water. And here's the other S I want to put up is structure. Because order is placing things in the right place. Structure is ordering things based on levels, based on stacking. In other words, I cannot put the carpet until I put the foundation.
Because if I had carpet with no foundation, then what I'll do, I'll just step right down through the ground. So I have to order things, but I have to order things in a structure on top of things. And so this is what he was saying to them. The people that bend down and lap and look, they have the right structure because they understand we're in a battle. Yeah. Even though we've come to the water and it looks like there's no trouble around, I'm just going to drink without looking. If you're saved, you got to understand there is a devil that's always trying to rob you. You don't have time to stick your head down and drink. Drink, but look. Yes. Because structure says the foundation is I'm a fighter. And since I'm a fighter, I got to always be looking. Always be watching. One thing I do after I read Malcolm X's biography and found out the way he was shot, when I go to a restaurant, I always sit where I can see the door. If at all possible, because if anything comes in to bother my family, I want to be able to look. Because even though we're eating and enjoying ourselves, I'm still the head of the household. I want to pay attention. And that's good structure. Understanding that there's some things have to come first. There are some foundational things that have to come first before you build and put something else on. Let's just be real practical. Before I put this suit on, before I put this shirt on, this bow tie, even before I put the underwear on, I put body wash on first. Because the structure says some things come first. And in 2019, the foundation has to be God. He has to be God first. And even when you're enjoying, you got to be looking. When you're just watching Netflix and having a good time, if God say cut it off, because he comes first. I can't build nothing unless I have the right foundation and the right structure. And what God says, go. Because remember, God was the one who saw the strength in me when I didn't see the strength in me. So if God says it, God gets it. Don't get so fast and going talking about I'm a boss and you forget that you got to listen to God. You have to hear him. He's trying to keep you out of trouble. Structure says God comes first. And if you are committed to a local church, then your church has to be high on your list. Well, I got to go see Aunt so-and-so, and I got to go check out Creed 2. Stop doing all that, and you haven't done anything for your church, the place where you learn, put your structure together. Now let's go to another practical thing, and let's go to our financial pictures with where we live. Don't be buying Jordans and your rent's not paid. Structure. Jordans will not keep rain off your head. Jordans will not keep you warm in the middle of the night. Pay your rent, pay your mortgage. If you have anything left over, then do that. But pay your utilities. Don't borrow from me because you did something stupid. Get some structure in your life. And stop bailing out people who have no structure. Look at this church. As pretty as this church is, without structure, we'd all be in some trouble. Those ceiling fans have to be structured and bolted to something, or else they'll fall down on your head and you will sue us and we all be in a bunch of trouble. That structure has to go first. And as you reorder your life, as you create boundaries and order and structure, then you're ready to start becoming a boss. Amen. Verse 7. Let's read verse 7.
And the Lord said to Gideon, with the 300 men who lapped, I will save you and give the Midianites into your hand. And let all the others go, every man to his home. Let the
scaredy folk go, and the folk that don't have structure, let them go. I'm going to work with those 300. God don't need a whole lot to do a great work. He's going to work with the people who are ready. Verse 9.
That same night, the Lord said to him, arise, go down against the camp, for I have given it into your hand.
Now, this is the last S, strategy. You have boundaries, you have order, you have structure, but you wait for God to tell you, now you have a strategy. One of the reasons why you want to pray and talk to God, because he drops strategies. You cannot get out of debt. You've got too much debt to get out of debt, but because of God's strategy, and God will tell you what to do. And sometimes he'll tell you something that doesn't even sound right, doesn't look like it makes sense, but he knows what he's doing. If you got boundaries, order, and structure, wait for the strategy. God told Elijah, go and basically ask for food from a widow who getting ready to die. That didn't make any sense. But it blessed him and it blessed the widow. It changed everything because God's strategy, his ways are higher than your ways. His thoughts are higher than your thoughts. You need a strategy from God. That's why you've got to turn down the plate and get a hold of God, because you got everything else, but now you need a strategy. Your marriage will fall without a strategy. Your kids will die without a strategy. This country will go to hell without a strategy. But when I get in the presence of God, in the face of God, I hear a strategy from God to tell me what to do, when to do, how to do it. And when I do it, I come out looking good. I look like a BOSS because of the strategy. Now here I'm closing, and verse 10 says what?
But if you are afraid to go down to the camp with Purah, your servant.
And I love God. God understands. God told him, set a boundary of the fearful people. But he said, even if there's a little fear left in you, I'm going to tell you what to do. First he said, I want you to get up and go, but take somebody with you. Let's go to verse 11.
And you shall hear what they say, and afterwards your hand shall be strengthened to go down against the camp. This is what God said. This is so beautiful. He said, in this time of strategy, you're going to hear what your enemy says about you. And when you hear what your enemy says about you, it's going to make you strong. Sometimes you're not good until somebody lie on you to wake you up. But let's read some more. Then he went down with Purah his servant to the outposts of the armed men who were in the camp.
Verse 13.
When Gideon came, behold, a man was telling a dream to his comrade. And he said, behold, I dreamed a dream, and behold. So one of the enemies was dreaming, because when God moves, he moves outside of the natural, and he moves in the supernatural. So sometimes dreams come from the supernatural world. So the man fell asleep, and he woke up and started saying, you know what, I had a dream while I was asleep. Read. A cake of barley bread tumbled into the camp of Midian and came to the tent and struck it so that it fell and turned it upside down so that the tent lay flat. Had a crazy dream. I dreamed that a piece of cake rolled down and hit our tent and just started knocking stuff over. I don't even know what it means. Verse 14. And his comrade answered, this is no other than the sword Gideon, the son of Joash, a man of Israel. God has given into his hand Midian and all the camp. The other guy said, you know what, I know what this means. We about to get jacked up. That's what this means. And when Gideon heard it, see, here's the thing. If you heard how the devil talks about you, it would give you some gumption. If you know that he's saying, I can't wait to run Bishop and elect lady off the road and hit them straight on. But when he looked up and they didn't die, if you heard how he cried and how he moaned and how he whined, you would know that you are somebody in God. If you could hear cancer went back to the devil and said, I tried to crawl up in her body, but when I got to her, I seen the hand of the Lord and I had to back up and get my hands off of them. If you heard how the devil is talking about you, I need somebody to hear what the devil is saying. And what the devil is saying, I tried Donald, but I can't wear him down. I tried Ella, but I can't make her go crazy. I tried Devin, but she keep coming back. I wish you could hear what your enemy is saying about you. I got one final verse, and this is going to be in the APV version, which is the Andre paraphrase version. This is what he said. We about to run into an absolute boss.
We about to run into a boss. And the devil is looking at you saying, I'm about to run into a boss. It's about to be over. He about to tear up my camp. He about to get what God has for him or her. How about you stand to your feet and just declare out with me, I'm a boss. Come on, say it like you mean it. I'm a boss. I'm a boss. Building opportunities for self-sufficiency and boundaries, order, structure, and strategy. Let's bow our heads. Close our eyes. Dear Heavenly Father, you gave me the word to give to the people.